You've heard this is a hard market for travel healthcare, and you are absolutely right. But there are a few things that you can do to make yourself shine. Today, I'm going to go over what those are from a recruiter who's putting your profiles together. Let's get into it. Welcome back to No Ordinary Path. I'm Kristen Farnsworth, and today is a travel nurse takeover, and I get to do the talking. John is at work today. He's got a lot of videos that we've done in the past for Travel Nurse Takeover. You can check out all of those up here, or our Travel Healthcare 101 series. There's all kinds of really great information in there. He has been travel nursing for 6 years as an ICU traveler, and he has 15 assignments, 12 of which have been with our favorite company, Atlas MedStaff. That is where I now work as a recruiter, and so today's video is going to be from the perspective of the recruiter side and what all I do on my end to help make you look good when we're presenting you to different facilities. So first off, some basics. Anytime that you onboard with an agency, you are going to be creating with them what is considered to be a profile. And what is that? It's basically a gigantic resume and snapshot of your work experience and your specialty. It has all kinds of information in it, and that is what the managers at these facilities are seeing when we submit you for a job. I'm sure this process is different for different agencies. So we put 5 basic things into your profile when we're submitting those to facilities, and then there's a few extras at the end. So the first one is your cover sheet. On your cover sheet, we want the manager to see in a really quick glance how many years experience you have, what your specialty is, and some rock star highlights of your career. This is the place that we want to shine as soon as a manager sees this. Some things that are going to be on this cover sheet are how many years experience that you have as a nurse, how many years experience you have as a traveler. We're obviously going to include your specialty, and we're also going to include those very important letters next to your name that you worked really hard to get. A lot of facilities still require COVID vaccinations. They may accept declinations, they may not accept declinations. To cover our basis, we put it right on the cover sheet whether you are or are not, and with what vaccine you've been vaccinated. We're going to include your desired start date. This is one of those things that when you're submitting for a job, they probably have a start date that that facility has put on there, and you have your own desired start date. Sometimes they might be the exact same date, sometimes they may be 3 or 4 weeks off. We're also going to put request time off, or RTO, right on your cover sheet. This is one of those things, especially now over the holiday season. It's really important to understand that if you are putting a lot of requested time off on there, it is going to knock your profile down a few notches. So the best advice that I can give you is be very flexible. Try to make your time off fall between your assignments if you can. And if you need time off, definitely make sure that we know and that we can put it on there, because if you get into an interview or you get that job and you didn't have that RTO on there, you're probably not going to be getting that time off. On the cover sheet, we're also going to tell them what your certifications are and where your license is at, whether it's compact, whether it is single state. If you're in a single state that is part of the compact, but you don't have a multi-state license yet, make sure you get one, because that is going to significantly open up your places of where you can get a job. And if you are in a state that's not part of the compact, you will have to get a license in each location that you would like to work. So if you have an idea that there's an area you would like to go, you can go ahead and start working on that license. And then as far as our company goes, we can reimburse you for that when you get an assignment there. There's going to be a very brief comment section on that cover sheet, and that is where we're going to highlight any skills that you have that they're specifically looking for. If I see in a facility's notes that they need something with XYZ, somebody who has XYZ skills, I'm going to make sure that I highlight that in that really short paragraph section. It's also a really great place for me to put comments from people who have said nice things about you in their references. On the next portion of your profile is where we're going to put your resume. This is one that we have formatted so that every single person that we submit has the same format so that it all looks the same. It starts off with a detailed skills summary, and then we're also going to list off all of your work history. Let's talk about a few ways to make that resume shine. First of all, if you have experience with multiple different EMRs or charting systems, this is the place that we want to address that. We list the facility size, so the bed count of the facility. We list out what the size of the unit was, what the trauma level of the facility is. We also list the EMR so that when facilities are looking, when managers are looking, they can see if you've had experience in whatever charting system that they are using. So the more charting systems that you work with, the more versatile you become. If you only have experience in Epic, but the place you're going to is Cerner, they're going to see that and it might make them a little bit nervous. So the best way is to diversify where you're working with and gain experience across multiple different EMRs, and that's going to show up on your resume. It's also going to show whether you have taken staff jobs or taken travel jobs. It is not negative or positive, it's just a fact. Some facilities like to see that you have travel experience, which is why we make sure to include that. Another thing is we don't like to see any gaps of employment. If there is a gap, we're going to notate that as personal time off. Now, personal time off is not a bad thing. Lots of travel nurses do it. We have taken off months at a time in between John's assignments before, but where it's gonna get a little bit tricky is if you've taken years off in between assignments, or from staff to travel, or from one specialty to another specialty. Can you get back into travel nursing if you've taken a few years off? Yes, but you're likely going to have to take a permanent job first, get some more time in a bedside setting before you'll be able to jump back into travel nursing. And that is because many managers and many facilities want to see that you have recent experience bedside. If you are thinking about taking long breaks, just keep that in mind. Maybe take a single assignment every once in a while to make sure that you keep up that work history. Next section is our education section. We simply list out what kind of degrees that you have. Maybe you have an ADN, maybe you have a BSN, maybe you have a master's, and I'm even working with somebody who has a PhD currently. We will put all of that information there and when you achieved that particular degree and from where. And then after that, we're going to list out all of your certifications. Here is where you could really shine. And John always preaches, get as much education and as many certifications as you can, because they can never hurt you. It never hurts to have extra certification. We're going to list out all your certifications and when each of those certifications expire. Now, if something is expiring while you're on assignment, we can absolutely help you get that taken care of and reimburse you for it. It might be a good idea to go ahead and get it done early so that they can see it's not going to expire while you're on that particular assignment. And then, of course, we're going to list your license, where it's at, whether it's multi-state or compact, and when it expires. Okay. The next section is really important, and it is all about you and how you answer the questions. It is the skills checklist. This tells the facility what you are proficient in and what you've had exposure to. There are checklists for all kinds of specialties. Any kind of specialty that you work with, we have a checklist for. So let's say that you are a med-surg nurse, but you also do tele, or you can do step down maybe. You're gonna have a skills checklist for each one of those items. So the more specialties that you can work in, the more versatile your profile is going to be. Now with this, you never wanna answer a 1. I mean, unless you were just really bad at that particular thing in the skills checklist, don't answer a 1. If you haven't seen it or you don't deal it regularly, you're gonna choose a 0, and that's not gonna alter the average or the score of your checklist. But you definitely want to be honest with yourself while still making yourself look good. If you've seen it, you've dealt with it, and you feel comfortable with it, don't be afraid to mark it a 4. We go from 0 to 4 on our checklists. It also helps me as a recruiter figure out what to put in that skills summary on your resume. The next section are your references. We require 2 references that are charge nurse or higher and are recent. Generally, I tell my nurses to make sure that they get a reference from every place that they work at, so we always have the most recent place they've worked at, a reference from that location. It's pretty simple for the referee, if that's what you call them, the reference giver. It's pretty simple for them to complete this. And if they have any extra comments to add, I love comments because I can highlight those. And finally, we are going to include a print out of verifying your license to practice nursing. We often use nurses to look this up, and it's gonna show where you can practice and when your license expires. It's pretty straightforward. That goes in the profile just to show that we have verified. And a tip on this is if you have any hits on your license and you know about it, make sure you tell your recruiter in advance so that they know and they're not surprised when they run this and it comes up. And then the bonus added section, I often will include copies of your certifications just to verify and prove that you do in fact hold those certs and when they expire. A lot of facilities like to see that in the profile, and so I'll include those as well. So that is what we mean when we say we are putting together a profile for you, and when you are onboarding onto an agency, that's what they're doing behind the scenes. They're pulling together all of this information and they're doing it in such a way to make you look the best that you possibly can. The less request time off, the better. The more certifications, different varied situations that you've worked in, the more specialties that you can work in and that you can float to. These are all things that will help boost your profile. And don't worry, if those are things that you don't have yet, it's okay. Everybody starts somewhere, and one of my favorite things is helping brand new travelers find positions. I love that I can help somebody who's been in a staff job forever step out of their comfort zone and find a travel job. In fact, I'm looking over at my board, and at least half of my nurses right now that I have on my desk are first-time travelers, and it is the best. If that is you, definitely check me out up here, get in contact with me. I'd love to help you get started on this journey. And if you're a seasoned traveler, you know the drill. I'd love to help you. Make sure that you visit my site up here and I will get in contact with you and we'll see if we can find you a job. In the new year, we have lots of January positions open right now. Thank you so much for staying tuned. This has been a fabulous Travel Nurse Takeover. Next week, we have more RV content coming for you on Tuesday, so stay tuned and we'll see you out there.